Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're getting into my new project again. So as you would have seen in the last episode, this is my new project. It is an 06 Honda Odyssey, auto transmission, K24, lovely car, until the transmission blows up and almost leaves you stranded and now just makes really horrible noises. So the plan is to manual swap this car. So, if you see in the last episode, go over a few bits and pieces. The plan is to put another K24 in. Yes, this one's all good, but the new one has a VTEC on both inlet and exhaust, whereas this one is being an iVTEC. It only has it on the inlet, and that's not good enough. So we want more power in this wagon. And also, manual is always better, I think. That's just my personal preference. So we have an engine, we have a gearbox, but first we have to get this stuff out. So the plan is jack it up, oils out, engine, transmission, everything else we're gonna get out. Then we're gonna assess how the clutch is gonna work. Hopefully I can put the pedal in. I've had a little bit of a look inside, I pulled some stuff out. I'll show you that a little bit later in this episode, and let's see what happens. Okay, next day, I did a few things and then I had to pop out. So today, hopefully we get this out. What I did was I just dropped the fluids, I dropped the coolant, I pulled the top hose off just to give it a bit more air to get in, to get out, and everything's coming off really nicely. I haven't done power steering fluid yet, which is first up today. I have dropped engine oil and tranny oil. The tranny oil came out black as anything. And yeah, it's done. It's rubbish. So yeah, I've dropped the coolant, everything else, and so as you can see, there's a few oil leaks. Today, now, hopefully we get this out. First up, power steering fluid, and then we'll drop out exhaust, get the aircon condenser off, get the radiator out, all that kind of stuff. Let's cut to a time lapse. Not so much of a time lapse, but I just jumped in and did a heap of things because it's pretty boring just watching me undo everything. So in here we have done a heap. So as you see, I struggled with the radiator, then I turned it off and I just got into doing everything else. So undid all the hoses, radiator's out of the way as you saw. Everything else was all pretty relatively easy. Got all the wiring up out of the way. So there's one loom that runs down and does all this stuff. Then another bit that comes up here, and then another one that runs up the back here. This one unbolts off the fuse box, and it's like the charge loom. So I'm pretty sure that just stays where it is, and I don't have to worry about taking it all off, because that way, I'm pretty sure it's a real pain in the ass to get to all the starter motor and everything else under the manifold and bits and pieces, which hopefully I'd like to do after it's off the car. So yeah, everything else, go down the back, heater hose is off. Wiring that comes down here, there's two plugs down there that are really fighting me, really not having fun with those two, but everything else has been pretty simple. I've jumped underneath and I undid the bottom of the exhaust, I undid the mount for the extractors slash just manifold, got all that out of the way. What else have I done? Just a few other little bits and pieces down the bottom, cleared some stuff out of the way, and now hopefully I'm going to jump back into up here, under the manifold, get it out of the way, and then hopefully those two wires, and then we should be able to theoretically jack this out of the way. I'll get those two plugs undone, everything else, get it all nice and looking together. I undid the tensioner and everything else. Oh, actually, that's one thing we have to do. As I jack it up, I'm going to have to undo the air compressor. I haven't degassed it. I don't want to just drop it to atmosphere because it's not good for the planet. And I should be able to just undo, as we jack it up, undo the two bottom bolts. I've already undone the two top ones, but the two bottom ones I should be able to pull out of the way, and then jack the rest up, and we should be good. So next is these two plugs, manifold, and create some like chain lifting system that we can get this out, and hopefully this should work well. Sorry, one bit I did forget. I need to undo the suspension, drop the wheels off, and get the drive shafts out of the way, and that way it should come out. Otherwise it's, you know, not going to come out. So I've got to do that as well as the manifold and a few other bits and pieces. So let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Ready to lift this thing out. Hopefully, everything works. So, as you see, you don't want to look up because it's a bit sketchy. But I just used a block and tackle and wrapped a big ratchet strap around it. I have done everything else. I did the front engine mount. I did the one at the rear. So that should all be okay. I've loosened this one and I've loosened both side ones, and everything else is pretty good. As you saw, got the drive shafts out. That was all really nice and easy. I did stuff up on the stationary shaft. I was trying to tap it and then realized there's another bolt. So I just knocked the CV off and it worked pretty good. So we're gonna jack this up and hopefully get this engine out, and then hopefully we can work out what we're gonna do next. So let's give it a go. Oh, also one other thing, I did get that air compressor. I got the aircon compressor out of the way. I undid it. I was able to get it underneath and just get the two 12 mils out of the bottom, so it's been scooted out of the way too. So hopefully they should all just come out. This prick. should take that front engine mount off. It just caused me all the grief. Probably I should have had the car a little bit lower, and I should have had that front engine mount off, and it would have been alright. I snagged the aircon condenser and it leaked. Son of a... Yeah! So annoyed. Yeah, a little bit of hindsight. It's, I pushed up against the front there just a little bit too much, and yeah, buggered it up. So it's been leaking. It's finally stopped, so I've finally come back in here. Oh, thanks, Sandra. Oh, Trevor, what are you doing? Okay, so we've got to put the brake fluid reservoir back in there so it doesn't leak everywhere. But everything's out. All the wiring laid out of the way. I jacked it up. I ended up having to jump in here as well and undoing this rear engine mount, which is like 4 bolts. And yeah, it came out alright. Yeah, I'll know for next time. Put that engine mount after it goes in. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but we got it. And then once it was on the ground, I was like, okay, cool. Undid most of the bolts and forgot about the starter motor bolt. And then I undid the starter motor bolt, which is this one here, and then was trying to get the one up the top. And then after many minutes of trying to get it undone, looked down and the gearbox, the transmission and engine was apart. And I was like, oh, it's a dead bolt. Like, goes into nothing. Doesn't go into the transmission. So, oh, it's just a comedy of errors. But we got there. So, this piece of junk is now going in the bin. I pulled all the sensors and bits off it. I don't know what I'm going to use. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But I feel like if I grab as much stuff off it as I can always throw it out later. The engine's all pretty good. I ended up taking the engine mount off the front of there. I'm going to keep this engine. I just thought I might just take a few of the auxiliaries off and save them for the other engine, which is over there, but I won't show you that just yet. I think I'm going to call this episode, but a few other little bits and pieces. The engine mounts up here. This one is definitely needing replacements. Definitely needs to be replaced. I thought it was a little bit bad. I didn't think it was that bad. So we'll get there. But that's going to do for this episode. I was going to jump into the clutch area piece, but I've just run out of time. So I think that's going to be it. Please like and subscribe. Hit us up with any questions. Hit us up actually with what you guys listen to in the shed. Today I was listening to a bit of Parkway Drive, a bit of Architects, heavy stuff, but otherwise it's normally sometimes a bit softer. But tell us what you guys listen to, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Cheers.